So it's a new year, happy new year. And gardening. It was a bad year last year because it was just too hot. Can you believe that? I couldn't keep up with watering, but I did have some quite a lot of potatoes. The leeks were appalling, the onions were appalling, the plums were appalling, the broccoli was appalling. It was all appalling. But anyway, we're going to start better off this year. I've never grown a small leek. That was a new experience for me. But anyway, this is not a tale of woe. We must pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and do better this year. So, like a lot of people, sowing my onions, leeks. I've sown 2 different varieties of leeks. The classic Musselburgh. I'm going back to basics. You might be seeing, you might be hearing that in what I'm saying. If we're going to do better this year, that means I need to look at options that are viable, reliable, etc. So Musselburgh, it's not necessarily the biggest leek, but it is hardy and it should provide. And I did 2 types of leek, Musselburgh and Leon prize taker. Musselburgh, I sowed them at the same time. Musselburgh just exploded up through the compost and had a really good showing. There were less in the seed packet with Leon prize taker, but it dawdled behind and is not as vigorous, certainly in germination. So that's an interesting comparison. I've also sown some Bedfordshire champion onions. Again, reliability. They are not the biggest onion in the world, but they survive when you store them. They survive for a long time, rather than rotting in December. They'll still be going for you in the new year, even through to spring. That's the theory, anyway. So I planted that. I've got a few herbs here in the greenhouse going. I did have, a lot of us were surprised by the sudden downturn in temperature in the middle of December. That really hurt my oriental vegetables, the pak choy and so on. Only a few survived. The ones that have survived have been knocked back big time. My lime tree has been, even though it was in the greenhouse, got hit badly. And my, what are they called? Celery. Only one's really going properly. So they were all, I bought 2, in fact I bought 3 into the greenhouse in their boxes. One died, one went to mush. Another one of them has gone to mush as well. And but it has sent up another shoot, so it might survive. I might just get rid of them anyway, put something else in. But one has done all right. I should be picking him as things start to pick up soon. So yeah, a couple of things. I don't know whether any of you guys take cuttings from. It's unusual to think of taking cuttings for vegetable growing, but you could do things like watercress, a good traditional English vegetable. People here used to go crazy for them in the spring. You don't need a chalk stream to grow them. I grow them in a pot, and it's not particularly well watered. It does better when it's well watered, obviously, nice fresh growth. It's still alive. I've taken cuttings from it, and actually it's reacted really badly to my cutting it back. It might have died, but I have around about 9 cuttings. They're in a tray. 2 or 3 of them are doing all right, and that's all I need. You can continue to take cuttings from them. What else has been going on? I've sown some very early peas, and they'll be in here in the greenhouse soon, and then I'll be putting them out in the garden soonish. Now that sounds daft, but what I do is put, and it probably is daft, but I put them under a cloche, and when they get bigger, I use those fleece bag things that you put over tender trees and shrubs in your garden in pots. And you can get them, they're basically sacks made out of fleece, and you put them over the top of and that's what I do. I'll put one of those pyramid trellises next to the peas, and then put that covering over the top, and they do all right very early. And that's fun. It's fun to watch your peas growing when nobody else's peas are growing. That's nice. So anyway, that's my first vlog for gardening of the year. I have the allotment under control. I've got planting under control, but obviously with sowing, this is sort of a phony war now. We think we're in the depths of winter, we aren't. February, there's at least 50% chance of snow, but there will be several really hard frosts in February and early March. Because you'll be chipping the ice off your windscreens on your cars. And those, so we know it's going to get worse. We're not really in the middle of winter at all. We're just about to be in the middle of winter. So the sun's shining now. It's, I'm in only a jumper in the greenhouse. So it's not horrific weather, but it will get cold. And then your seedlings will damp off and fall over. So we've got to really look after them. So a lot of things will be staying in the kitchen. The temperature stays, I turn the central heating off at night. The temperature doesn't go below freezing in the house, as long as I warm it up again the next day. So so anything I think that's going to fall over dead stays in the kitchen. Surprisingly, I've kept a basil alive in a pot, and it's still going, which I'm surprised by. The right amount of watering and draining of water, and the right amount of temperature, they can survive a surprising amount of time. I don't think they're annuals at all. And but I think as a lot of other things I've tried to overwinter have died. So even in the house, I do. Let me show you my Rocoto. That's still alive. It wants to die, but it's still alive, and it's actually got fresh new growth on it. This is my Rocoto. It's a type of chilli that is found growing in the Andes, so it is hardier. Now it won't take a frost, but you can. Some people have left them in their greenhouses. I'm not. I'm keeping it indoors. But as you can see, it still has green leaves. In fact, this is new growth. Now I'm not rich enough to have, the central heating on all the time, so there's not much heating. I haven't done any special heating. This is just ordinary temperatures inside the house, and it's kept it alive. Now, as you can see, there has been some dieback. I'm going to prune this a little bit. So I'm doing this for two reasons. One, to tidy it up. And two, prevent disease. Three reasons really. It will have less to. It's quite woody. This. It will have less to deal with over the winter if I cut it back. But even though I'm creating a stump, so I've lost my secateurs. So even though I'm creating a stump, it is still a stump full of roots. A great big root ball, as established plant, and it will grow away really fast once we get to sort of late spring. So that's my short little update. I'm going to be doing lots more. I want to show certainly the passage from seedling to harvest of my onions, maybe even leeks. They are the tastiest of vegetables, and they fill you up. So and onions are quite cheap in the supermarket, but leeks are quite expensive. So you are economising by growing leeks. So I mean, that's one of the questions that a lot of gardeners ask themselves: Am I contributing to the budget of the household or not? And in a lot of cases, when you think you can have a whole bag of carrots for 35p, it's not necessarily. But there are some. I mean, thinking a lot about broccolis. You know, they're £1 each, and if I grow 50 of those, that's £50 I've saved. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, I do want to show the passage of some of my vegetables over the season, but it's very early days. The temperature is going to crawl up. In fact, it's going to crawl down first, and the light is inexorably increasing day by day. But at the moment, it's about 2 to 3 minutes per day. It will accelerate later on in spring, but a lot of gardeners know they've got to get out there in the greenhouse now and get going. Anyway, that's my update, and I'll see you all on the next one. Ta-ra for now.